I would say that most people don't quit jobs. Jobs quit people. I feel like we're in a big era right now where a lot of people don't feel enough validation from their jobs. They don't feel like they're getting paid enough. They feel like their hourly salary sucks compared to what they actually have to pay for with their mortgages, their, groceries in general. Most people don't feel validated enough. And, why I say that jobs quit people is because I see a lot of people that want help from their bosses, their managers, their supervisors, and those people just don't give a shit enough to help their employees. I feel like most of the time when people hate their jobs, they quit their jobs, is because of supervisors and bosses, right? I hate my boss. I hear that all the time, and trust me, I've worked for some, bad bosses, shitty people, and it's true. If you don't feel validated, if you don't feel backed up for the company or the people that you're working for, you're generally not going to put in as much effort as if you were working for a better person. If you were working for a boss or a supervisor that says, yeah, let me help you out. You need help with something, maybe you need a little bit more money because you're barely getting by. Let me see what I can do. They give you an ultimatum, right? Like, if you do this set amount of work, you will get this amount of money. And I've worked for bosses like that, and it's great. But when you work for the bosses who aren't like that, it sucks. It generally, every day you go to work, you just want to leave. And then, with that, you have coworkers. I feel like a lot of people quit their jobs because of coworkers, because of just high school bullshit, right? The last job I was working at, it was just a yard full of lackeys. Like, my main supervisor, right? He worked with all these guys for years and appointed them at his yard. So he had a whole yard full of people who just, gassed him up. And I didn't like that because it made newer people like myself, it makes it harder for me to rise up in the ranks. They just get appointed to a role because they know the boss very well. They're quote-unquote friends with the boss. Like, back in the day, like, I'm talking like 70s, 80s, 90s, I feel like if people had to deal with what they dealt with now, it'd be a lot different. Like, people see people jumping up in the company just because they're friends with the boss, like I said. And there's much more pressure on that issue now because people, the general population, are under a lot of pressure with bills and car payments and mortgage payments. Like, it's getting scary out here with, dog eat dog world, right? You're making more money than me, but I've been at this company longer than you, and you jump ahead because you know the boss? No, that's bullshit. More people are going to start saying stuff and complaining and criticizing their bosses, their employees, their companies, because we're under such pressure nowadays, especially the younger generations. I left my job a couple weeks ago. If you want to go kind of follow my journey on that, just go check out my earlier videos. I'll put them in the comments too. It was kind of like these same issues. Like, I just felt like this ain't for me. It was a tree service job, a union tree service job. The pay was okay, but, I'm not going to get too much into it, but just with the commuting and everything, it really just was not panning out with, having to drive up there, the long hours. But I do feel like I wasn't feeling validated. I felt like the work that I was doing, I'm a person that when I work, I want to feel good about it. And this kind of work, I wasn't feeling good about it. And I understand you're not supposed to, love your job, right? You're there to make money. You're there to go home. But for me, I want to feel a sense of accomplishment. I want to feel like, damn, I got that done. Previous jobs, like I used to work in construction, I felt good doing that job. I liked doing that job. I liked doing the work. I liked putting stuff together, sitting back, and when it's all done, feeling somewhat accomplished. I liked working at stores. I liked interacting with people. I liked ringing people up. I didn't mind doing any of that. But when I got to this newer job that was paying me a little bit more, I was excited. I was going to be making more money. Got into it. Wasn't feeling that great about it. I was about 4 or 5 months in, and I waved the white flag. I was like, I'm done. The mix of bad hours, having to deal with the weather where I live at sucked. Trying to get adjusted to the sleep schedule and stuff like that. In this circumstance, I quit the job because it was personal reasons, but I would say with people quote-unquote quitting their jobs, I feel like half of it is the job's quitting them, and then the people actually, like myself, just quitting. And if you're kind of in this situation right now where you're kind of teetering on the edge of whether you want to leave or not, if you're a younger person like myself, if you have support from your family, from your friends to do something else, do it, As long as you don't, burn your bridge, right? As long as you don't burn the bridges of your jobs. I know the last 2 jobs I worked, if I called up my old bosses and said, yo, I'm kind of in a pinch right now, if you got any work for me to do, if I could come work for you, I know in a freaking heartbeat they would hire me back. This job that I just quit, I know this spring if I said, hey, quote-unquote, my boss's name, stuff didn't work out, would you mind picking me back up? I know that they would rehire me because of still going through bullshit and still the amount of effort that I put in, because that's just how I work. I always put in a good effort when I work. So don't burn bridges if you're trying to quit your job. I don't care how bad it is, how bad your coworkers are, how bad your boss is. You could leave, and 6 months later, everybody there could be fired. There could be a new supervisor, new employees, and you could be wanting to go back and get that check. But as always, the comments are open for discussion. Anything you want to put, opinion-based, what you thought about the video. Very much an open-based channel. Just want to hear what you guys have to say. But other than that, hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.